But it's going to be a great night, great atmosphere. It's what college football is all about. You're building to get an opportunity, and that's what we've worked for and have here in front of us. But I think we've had a really good week of work, and our guys have prepared at a very high level. A lot of excitement around our team and our program. For what we have ahead, and we've got some more work to do leading up to 8:15 tomorrow night. But we're excited for the chance to get a chance.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. We are down here in the beautiful Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina, for tonight's game between Florida State and Louisville. Hopefully, Adam and Matt, the weather holds off to be a nice evening for football in the Queen City. Louisville coming in as 10-1. They're 14th in the college football playoff,
right?
And then Florida State, who is number 4, they're undefeated and still undefeated. They're going to be the home team this evening. So, guys, we had a chance yesterday to we're waiting for our first guest to join us here at 10:05. Our first guest, Clifton Abraham, who was a former DB for Florida State back in the glory days, will be joining us here shortly here on the show here in Charlotte. We'll be on until noon, and then we'll let you guys go and watch all the great college football games today here on this beautiful championship Saturday. So, Matt, let's bring it to you here. Yesterday, what's your take on the media availability for Louisville? It looked like they're pretty quiet, and they just did their walkthrough yesterday.
Oh yeah, Louisville did their walkthrough and everything, and yeah, I mean it was a great day. It was a great day on both sides, both Louisville and Florida State, with the walkthrough, with the press conferences. I mean the stage is set. We're all ready to play this game at 8:00 tonight. So I can't wait to see who's going to win. We all know Florida State is favored, and they're playing with their third string quarterback. So it's going to be an exciting game either way. So hopefully the rain kind of goes off into a different direction, and it's a nice, clear, warm night and everything in Charlotte.
So Adam, your take on Florida State yesterday? Mike looked like he was upbeat. The players came there and did their walkthrough, and you saw them do their connection of when they walk down the field, and like Clemson does a lot. Mm-hmm. So what's your take from seeing them yesterday?
Well, I think yesterday it was really cool to see Coach Norvell and all the players on the field. I will say that even if Tate Rodemaker is unable to play, I think they've got a lot of confidence in Brock Glenn. He's a former 4-star recruit, that came to Florida State. He had a rushing touchdown against North Alabama. He played some last week against Florida. So I think even if Tate Rodemaker, he doesn't play, I think I have a lot of confidence in Brock Glenn to get the job done against a really tough Louisville Cardinal team.
Yeah. Last night we had Star Championship weekend last night in Las Vegas. But first, it was actually down in Lynchburg, Virginia. Liberty took on New Mexico State in a rematch in the Conference USA title game, and Liberty, finished an undefeated season, beating New Mexico State 49-35. So, thanks for the folks that got some highlights from the CBS Sports Network. Look, there's fans, running the field there at Lynchburg, Virginia. So my parents used to go to Lynchburg for Lynchburg College, and Liberty was a teeny weeny little school. I guess a teeny weeny school is a little bit bigger than anybody else.
Yeah, it was a great win by Liberty last night, and what can we say? They're undefeated. They're 12-0 and everything. So they should, in my opinion, be one of the group of 5 teams to go into the New Year's Six bowl game. And we also know with last night's results with the Washington and Oregon game, we know who's one team that will be going to the playoffs. But with Liberty, a great game. It was a tough game. It was a high-scoring game and everything between New Mexico State and Liberty. And Liberty earned it, deserved it, and they have earned the right to get into the New Year's Six bowl game.
Exactly. Now you were talking about Washington. They played last night in Vegas, and they beat Oregon. It was a very good game between both schools. Oregon and Washington are going back and forth. Here's some highlights from the game out there in Vegas from ABC Sports. and ESPN. So nice bomb by the guy who used to be the quarterback of Indiana.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I didn't realize he was transferred out there to Washington. So do you think Washington wins there in the college football playoff? What seed are they going to be? Are they going to be 3, 4, or going to be maybe higher to 2? But Hertz said it's going to be a Rose Bowl rematch.
Well, for me, if it ends up with Michigan winning the Big Ten in Washington, I go back to the early '90s when we saw them play in the Rose Bowl, and you had stars like Napoleon Kaufman on the field for Washington. You had a lot of talent on the Michigan side as well. You had Don James, who was the coach of Washington. So it could. And next year, that's going to be a conference matchup in the Big Ten. So I think I could see a rematch of a classic Rose Bowl game from their early '90s. If it does happen.
The way they put the sad way to put the end to the Pac-12.
And and also it really depends. I mean, Washington wins, so they're automatically in the playoffs now. They're undefeated. They're in the playoffs. It's just what seed are they going to get? They're going to get no lower than 1 1/3. But it all depends. If Michigan wins, which the statistics are coming out saying that it's a 98, 99% chance that Michigan will win. So if Michigan wins and if Georgia wins, then Washington would be a 3 seed. But if one of those two teams lose, so for example, if Georgia loses, then it'll either be between Michigan or Washington would be the number 1 seed. Okay, one of those two teams pending that Michigan wins. But if both Michigan and Georgia loses, then Washington will most likely move up to number 1 seed. So it really all depends what Michigan and Georgia does. But I mean, I think they're either going to be a 2 or a 3 seed because Michigan has 99% chance of winning their game.
Yeah, I agree with what Matt said. I think it all depends on what Michigan and Georgia does today in their respective championship games. We've seen craziness happen on Championship Saturday in the past, so I expect to see some craziness today as well. So get your favorite drinks, your favorite snacks, your favorite food, and just kick back, enjoy our preview of Championship Saturday, and then go enjoy the other championship games, starting with the MAC championship and the Big 12 at noon.
Yes. Well, let's give you the schedule here on the show this morning. Around 10:20, we'll play Jeff Brohm's. I had a Q&A with Jeff Brohm yesterday asking about the weather, because that might be a big factor here in Charlotte tonight with the they said rain, may not be rain. I think the weather people don't know what's going on with the forecast, in this area. So we'll Q&A with him at 10:30. Jordan Matt from SMU, who is going to be a new ACC member this time next year, from the PonyStampede.com. Jordan Hofferwitz will be joining us. He's there getting ready for the Tulane versus SMU in the AA final. So that's
AAC.
Or the old Big East. That's what they used to call it. Yeah. And then 10:45, we're going to talk to a Seminole booster. One of those people who help out with this, who help fund the Florida State players, get them the opportunity to some boosters go overboard, and you see in Miami to get Miami in trouble. Pete the Greek is not that type of person to get Florida State in trouble. So
No.
We'll ask him what does the day-to-day operation to be a Seminole booster. And then around 11:05, our friend Jeff Culhane from Florida State, the voice of the Noles that we see a lot. We saw him at Wake Forest a couple weeks ago. Matt, he'll stop by and we'll talk to him. And then we have a very special interview at 11:20. Priscilla Proctor and her father, Bill Proctor. Bill Proctor is a Florida State Hall of Famer who was back in the 50s, who played for the Noles back when some guy named Bobby Reynolds, who is Burt Reynolds. That's why we played Smokey and the Bandit in the beginning of the show, because Burt Reynolds and Lee Corso were on his team back in the 50s. He'll be joining us. She and himself. He's 90 years old now, so it's going to be. We'll see what we can do with the interview. We'll have him at 11:20, and at 11:45, Wally Williams, who played in Baltimore with the Ravens, went to Florida A&M. They're playing in a title game today, so we'll talk to Wally Williams to wrap up our version of College Game Day from Charlotte, North Carolina. We're not outside. We're in our friendly confines of our place we're spending. A couple of days here.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
So hope you folks are enjoying that. So we're still waiting for Clifton. So I got Clifton probably having problems getting on, but we'll see if we can just get him on the phone right now. Yeah. Yeah, let me work on that too. Shit. So anyway, we'll try to get topics. Okay. Anyway, let's keep it going here, Adam. I'll go send Priscilla a message in a minute here. Our first, we'll play the Jeff Brohm interview real quick here. I know that's probably a minute. Our little interview here with him. We'll have mine and a match. So here is Jeff Brohm. I asked him yesterday about the rain and the weather, and this is his response about the rain and the weather.
I'm Chris Heidel from Herbert Radio in Baltimore. Tomorrow's supposed to be a lot of rain in this area, so is your ground game built for the rain, or what do you guys got to do with the elements?
Well, we hate to say it, we've not been as good in the elements as I would like to be in my past. So I think we've worked all week with a wet ball and having to handle that and make sure that we try not to do too many silly things. So taking care of the football, running the ball, trying to get somewhat safe and easy completions is always important to make sure we call and have ready to go. I think sometimes the game plan will change slightly if it's a situation that needs it. And, we had a rainy game at Pittsburgh, and it wasn't a good day for us. We had turnovers and miscues, and, our whole team didn't play as well as it should. So, yes, taking care of the football will be vital. And I don't think we could have worked any more than we have to this point, but we got to go out, during the game and do that.
All right, folks. That was Jeff Brohm, the head coach of Louisville. So they didn't do a good job in Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago. So I guess they need to go practice a little more today in the rain, before they go into the stadium.
So, and that's my question. So they already had that experience with Pittsburgh and not playing well. So, I mean, it'll just be interesting to see the kinds of adjustments that Louisville makes, because obviously with the result of the Pittsburgh game, they're going to have to make some kind of adjustments. And if it is a very wet, rainy game, which we're hoping it's not, we're hoping it's clear. And if it does rain, we're just hoping maybe it's a passing, like a little quick 5-minute shower, and that's it. But if it is rain for most of the game or for half of the game, then they're going to have to really, and they'll show what kind of adjustments that they made from that Pittsburgh game to that.
Yeah. And I agree with that. And plus with it's artificial turf there at Bank of America Stadium. So it's not mud like up at Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh is a old-fashioned old field. So it's mud.
And since you brought that up, Chris, that's good, because playing on grass versus turf is two completely different things when you talk about inclement weather.
Yeah,
you're talking about rain and stuff.
Cleats too. You got to make sure you have the right cleats, because I don't think you want to use something that you can dig in the mud on an artificial turf. You want to basically wear folks say like a sneaker.
Yeah.
It's like when we all of us watch bowling on TV. And Nelson Burton Jr. used to say the conditions are a little slick, so Mike Olney decided to go with the slide shoe for the left foot, and then for the right foot, use something more to grip the board, on the approach, so he doesn't slide or glide because of the friction. Mm-hmm. So that's the same thing with artificial turf. You got to make sure you have the right sneakers on or the right cleats, and sometimes a lot of the players go with like a tennis shoe or a small cleat that digs in the ground and that gives more traction.
Oh yeah, and that's going to be key. The elements, the weather of this game is going to really be a key to the game. Usually we don't talk about the weather a lot as being a key to the game, but that's the key. Will it rain or will it not rain? And if it does rain, how will Florida State and Louisville adjust to it?
Well, we asked. I think I asked Mike that question. I didn't get a chance to edit it, but I did ask him about, is the running game built for the rain? And because Florida State hasn't played in a monsoon, or like once a year they play in a monsoon.
Yes.
It's almost like there's a given. But this year they didn't play except for one was up in Boston. It was like I think a hurricane passed through like the morning, the night of, and it was just heavy wind. That was all it was.
Yeah, yes.
But they haven't played in a game that was more mud, so I don't think Florida State has been adapt to that yet.
No, and yesterday, it was really cool, to see what Coach Norvell did with all the players. He worked with the players, and he was using himself as a quarterback on the field, to get ready for the game tonight. And
I think he was a quarterback. He was playing in his playing days. I think he was a quarterback.
Yeah,
I think I have to do some research.
Yeah, and it was just really cool to see the Louisville walkthrough and Florida State walkthrough as well, and looking forward, to seeing who can execute the best in the weather conditions here in Charlotte. And I think it's going to be 70% Florida State and 30% Louisville when it comes to fans attending the game, because you're going to have fans coming in just from Florida State and Louisville, but all over the country who support either the Seminoles or the Cardinals. So it's going to be a atmosphere that fans won't forget for a long time. And to me, this is the marquee game of the night, other than, of course, other than the Big Ten championship game, which will be taking place at the same time, and the SEC will get done beforehand. So strap in and hold tight. It's kind of this AC championship game. It could go down to the very last second, and we will find out.
Exactly. Matt, you had a chance to ask Coach Brohm yesterday a question about the mentality coming into this game, because a lot of these teams get a lot of fired up the day before, and they probably right now in their hotel room chomping at a bit because they want to play right away. But 8 o'clock is 8 o'clock. You got all day to sit around and get yourself ready to go. And some people right now, some players probably be taking a nap. Some coaches probably having a quick meeting with their players, like their offensive players, to go over the game plan just for real quick, So what so you asked them what's the mentality to keep them all grounded and make sure they're what they needed to get done today. So here is your clip with Coach Brohm.
Yeah, Coach, Matt Trucknoy from Herb FM Sports Radio. So since this is the ACC championship game, a big game and everything, how are you going to keep your guys grounded and focused on the task at hand?
Well, I think for us, we need to go out there and cut it loose. I think Florida State, of course, they want to win the game to get to the playoff. And for us, we're the underdog. We need to go out there, and the pressure's on them, and we need to go out there and just cut it loose. So I think we've worked really hard this week. We understand that. With that said, we have to play our best football, and we have to improve on some mistakes we made last week and the losses we've had this year. Make sure those things don't happen. But we got to make plays, and both sides of the ball got to be aggressive in their approach. Find ways to make some difference-making plays, and then I think our special teams has to find a way to gain an edge, which we have not been as sharp in that recently as I would like, but we've worked at it hard. So I think tomorrow night will be the night to see how far we've come in our preparation.
So we'll see what team comes out firing real quick. And it depends on who gets the football.
Yeah.
Well, it just depends who gets the football. It depends on lots of stuff. The weather, who gets the football. But both teams are going to be motivated in this game. Both teams are going to be prepared, motivated, and so it just really depends on now execution. The practices have already happened. They have had time to rest and relax and rejuvenate themselves. So it's just now going to be, we're going to wait until 8 o'clock, wait to see who comes out, and when the team that wins is going to be a team that is able to execute better than the other.
I feel like this game might go into the fourth quarter when both teams are trying to figure out what to do in the fourth quarter. Is when you have a team that's basically the same matched up with yourself. It's like you want to go toe to them, and I feel like maybe in the fourth quarter somebody's going to mess up. Somebody's going to throw an interception at the wrong time. Somebody's going to fumble at the wrong time. and then gets down to that old fashioned like who's going to win the field goal to win the game with 2 seconds left, or do we see this game might go into overtime?
I mean, it could be like the last team that gets the ball, but they could win it. I do not think it's going to be a blowout either way on either side. I think it's going to be a very close game. It's going to come down to the fourth quarter. And I feel it could come down to who has the ball at the end. The team that has the ball at the end could very well win this game. It's going to be a close, hard-fought game. Both teams going to have to grind it out. So we'll have to see tonight.
Yeah, and one thing we need to talk about is the defense. Florida State is known for the second half defense. We know about Jared Verse. We know about Patrick Payton. We know about Tatum Bethune. So to me, one of the keys is who's going to make the first turnover. Which team will make the first mistake, and who can capitalize?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's Florida State, we know about how good Trey Benson is. We know how good Lawrence Trofili is. We know about the wide receivers with Keon Coleman, who came over from Michigan State, Johnny Wilson. They've had spectacular years. So I think, to me, it's going to be a very interesting game in Charlotte later tonight.
Yeah. Look at the forecast from the fine folks at the Weather Channel. What's his name? Jim Cantore.
Yes.
that guy's a like an American institution.
Yes.
Yeah, he needs to be put in a glass vase and don't go out anywhere, Jim. Yeah.
Yeah. When you see,
I thought he's built, man. Do you see him on TV?
Yes.
When he's out there in the elements.
Yes, he definitely works out. I mean,
he looks like he looks like he's like
Yeah,
with maybe he has a similar guns, but he had more guns.
He's definitely way more built. He works out every day.
Yeah,
for sure.
So right now at 10 o'clock this morning, it's here in Charlotte. It's 57 degrees, with probably a fog mist around here. So it's not bad. Looks like it's going to be the rest of the afternoon. Should be in the looks like we got up to close. It's between like 63, 65.
Yeah.
That's what the Weather Channel is saying. And let's go to and we can bring up the long-term forecast for tonight. So we're waiting for our next guest to join us here at 10:30. I guess Clifton had a problem. We never get him back on. Or we'll figure it out. We'll get him on another time. It's not a big deal. Yeah, I'm waiting for Jordan to log in soon here. Right now it's 56 degrees, foggy. This afternoon it looks like 15% chance of rain in the afternoon. It's 66 degrees, and then around the evening time, it looks like it's going to be 48% chance of rain. So, it's like a hit and miss. It's like it's like whatever neighborhood gets the rain. That's pretty much
it's like half and half. I'm hoping the half that gets the rain stays away from the stadium.
Thank you. I'll agree, man.
Hey, it could. You know what it could do? It could pour after the game's over.
Oh, sure.
Exactly.
We don't. We're driving back to the hotel. We don't care where it's going.
Wow.
Yeah, pouring. Yeah, we don't care. But if you're Florida State in Louisville, you want a dry condition, so you all have the same conditions. Then one guy has a disadvantage. So right now it's basically outside at 10:23 here in Charlotte. It feels like 58 degrees. Humidity's up 93%. That's why it's raining. That's when anything is up near 70 or 75%, or higher. That's when it gets all that rain comes.
Yeah.
And if we look at the game time, Chris.
Yeah, let's go down to the game time here.
8 o'clock. What does that say?
8 o'clock showers.
So 8 o'clock, 62
Few shower,
degrees.
yeah.
62 degrees.
Showers, 58%. Well, around 8 o'clock when it kick off, 58%. It's 53. It gets lower.
Yeah, so I think we'll see.
So the percentage is going lower. So it's 55% at game time. By the time the game should be over, it's like 45%. And it gets back up a little bit higher, in the middle of the night here. Yeah, but Yeah, this is what they do for the weather. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's early December weather in
Yeah.
Charlotte.
Well, hey, you know what? Us being from Maryland, Chris, you and I know you're from Carolina, Adam, and you're used to this type of weather. But
Yes,
Chris,
I am.
Chris, we are loving this kind of weather right now because I remember about 4 days ago, it was it was windy out. It was either Monday or Tuesday, one of those days, and it was windy. And with the wind chill, it was like 15, 16 degrees.
No,
So
thank you.
I'll take this 60-some degree weather. Okay?
Matt, that makes two of us.
Yeah.
I got up a couple I believe it was either Tuesday or Wednesday. I was with the temperature. I was like, that's too cold for me.
Well, let's talk about other games today. Coming up at 12 noon here on we're on ABC. On ABC is going to be Texas and Oklahoma State going at it in the Big 12 championship game. So, what do you think about that game between the Cowboys and the Longhorns? Longhorns' last game in the Big 12 today because they're going to go to the SEC next year.
Yes, and that's a tricky game because Texas excluded in the last game because their last game it was a blowout in Texas's favor. But I really feel Texas has had some close games. They've had some close games, especially in the second half. So if Oklahoma State can score some offense in the second half, Oklahoma State could pull off an upset. But this is their last game. Texas wants to show the SEC that, hey, we are one of those top-notch SEC teams that's come into your league. So Texas could very well win it. And I know that we're doing our picks towards the end and everything, but you got some toss-up games here and everything, but this is another toss-up game. Texas could win. Oklahoma State could win. Both those teams, I in my opinion, have an equal chance of really winning that game. But who's the team that's more motivated, more prepared, and will execute at the highest level? And that would be answered when they kick off at noon.
Right, exactly. What's your take?
Yeah, to me, I think the upper hand's got to go Texas. Quinn Ewers is the quarterback for the Longhorns. He's had a really good year this year, and I'll agree with what Matt said. Texas wants to go out on top. It's their last time, being in the Big 12 before they go to the SEC along with their arch rival Oklahoma. So I think it's going to be a very close game in Dallas, and it could come down to the last seconds. We know what Oklahoma's and folks, Oklahoma State last week, they had to go into multiple overtimes to get to be BYU and have them advance to the championship game today. And one of the stars of Oklahoma State is Ollie Gordon, and he had multiple rushing touchdowns. So I think one key is, can the Texas defense stop Ollie Gordon and Oklahoma State? So we'll find out in a few hours.
Yes. Well, actually, in an hour and hour and a half, pretty much.
An hour and a half, yeah.
Oh yeah, an hour and a half. We'll find out.
And then the other game is out in Detroit. The other Miami, not the one down in Florida. The other Miami
Of Ohio.
The Red Hawks. I think they played each other this year, and it was Miami versus Miami.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. It was
pretty funny down there in South Florida. Yeah.
It was the start of the season. You had Miami of Ohio taking on Florida, and today you have the Miami Ohio Red Hawks taking on the Toledo Rockets at Ford Field. So I think we'll see what happens there in the MAC. It's a conference it's a conference that if you've never watched MAC football in the past, you need to, since it's an incredible football conference. So looking forward, to see who comes out on the top in the MAC.
Well, how about this? Let's bring in your friend Adam.
Yeah, let's
bring him in because we've been waiting for peacefully. We'll bring Jared in, Jordan in right after he if he logs in. So let's bring in Adam.
Yeah, it's called. I follow a lot of people on Twitter when it comes to Florida State, and one of them is a very good friend of mine. He is a Seminole booster. He is a diehard Seminole fan. He loves the Garden Gold. So let's bring in my good friend from Twitter.
Hey, good morning, fellas. How's everybody? How you guys doing? Hey, Adam, how are you? How's it going?
Thanks for coming on, Pete. And just talk about what's it like? What's it like to be a Seminole?
So my experience,
booster.
I'll tell you. Yeah, and first of all, I'm going to get a couple plugs in for our boosters. If you're listening and you're a Seminole fan, please contribute to the Battle's End. That helps the student athlete in all types of ways. Some of these student athletes aren't afforded all of the necessary means to care for themselves, for their families. So you always want to be on top of that, and I always try to contribute when I can. And my experience as a Seminole, I'll just share it with you guys. I'm a Bobby Bowden guy, so I've been a Bobby Bowden guy all my life, and all of our boosters are so proud of what Coach Norvell is doing and the actual culture that he's building. Right, we're what we call it, fellas, is restoring the legacy. Right, because we were such a well-respected team back in the Bowden days. It was all about family. It was not only about football, but it's a little bit about everyday life, right? And being able to contribute back and create memories, and also have these young men become stand-up citizens. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a sway back. So we're just tickled pink as Knoll Nation that we're getting to that point where we are considered, a contender, right? Restoring the legacy and giving these young men an opportunity to not only become football players, but be good people in the community and give back to the community. And that's, I think, bigger than everything else. So, Adam, go ahead.
Yeah. So just talk about the season as a whole. We obviously would know what happened to Georgia Travis when he went down against North Alabama. But what's your take on the season, and what's your take on the game tonight versus Louisville?
Okay, so my take on the season is I think we were very pleasantly surprised. I was at the LSU game, and I didn't think we'd come out swinging like we did, and the finish that we had was fantastic. And I still didn't think that we played our best football for 4 quarters. And I think you guys would agree, as just football junkies like myself. I think we played mostly two quarters where we dominated that last 2 quarters, and it's been proven over and over by our defensive coach that we are a second half team, right? We make the adjustments, we're ready, and we come out. I think through about 7 or 8 games, we were the 4th team, I think nationally, to give up the lowest amount of points and a half. So as far as the season's concerned, it's a win. No matter what happens here going forward, it's a win. We have a great recruiting class. Coach Norvell is going to likely use the portal to his advantage, and as he has. I had the opportunity to go to a Virginia Tech game and sit with the engineer, the master of it all, right? Our AD, Michael Alford, who's just been fantastic. Cool. He's just been a game changer for us. And it's just been a pleasant surprise. As far as what I see tonight, we can't make mistakes. We got to be at our best. It's going to be a defensive battle. I think in the trenches we're equal. Their running back room is just as good as ours. They have the edge on quarterback, but I think what we have the edge with is the will to win. And I think you've seen that over and over this year. We may not look the sexiest on the field, but we definitely come out with the W. And I think as college football fans in this room, all of you, I think that's what we look forward to, right, guys?
Right.
Yeah. And
exactly.
let
me ask Pete. Hey, Pete, being a Seminole booster, a lot of people hear the word booster and they're like, oh God, who are these people? Because you know what happens in different schools with a booster. I'm not mentioning any names, like that team down in Coral Gables having problems with boosters and all that stuff, and and people in Gainesville and all that stuff.
Sure.
But explain to the folks who are on the show here, what is your job as a booster? I know you donate money, but there is basically, you have a byline and rules and regulations that you can't cross the line and have, let's say, Jordan Travis over your house for dinner.
No. Yeah, and it doesn't
buy
really
a hamburger like
right.
What's his name, Jim Harbaugh did, or something like that.
So
explain
here,
to folks about it.
I'll explain to you guys. As far as boosters are concerned, we contribute. We all are diehards throughout. Can you guys still see me? You guys good?
We're playing the video I found.
All
about
right.
You guys.
So as a booster, in my particular line of work, I'm actually in operations. I'm a vice president of operations for a large company, and anytime that I get, and Adam knows this, I'll use Spaces as a platform. I go back and I interview former athletes and let them tell their story, because really what I'm trying to do is just do it for the love of the school and for the love of our brand. And there are a lot of folks like that just do it for the love of it. No, we don't have players over. We don't do any of that. When we see them, we just tell them who we are. But they're very gracious. And that's the good thing about Coach Norvell and this whole administration, is these are very humble young men. And I think that's what we want. These humble young men representing our brand, going out there and doing good things for the community. And we have a lot of folks that do that within Seminole Nation. I'm one of them that I just like to do this because I love the school and I'm proud of my school. I got my degree there. I have my oldest who went to school there. My youngest is going here in the next year. So that's really the job of a booster, is to just support, and give as much support as they can to the program in all aspects. And I do it on my own time. So you could definitely tell that we all love our brand and our school. I hope that kind of answered it in a roundabout way.
Yeah, it does. Because Pete, because you hear a lot of different, like we listen to college football a lot, and during the year you hear a lot of issues at different schools. Like, oh, this team's under an investigation with the NCAA because some booster, started giving out cars and mobile, all that stuff, and and you're trying to figure out, and people don't realize boosters should be good people to help you.
Sure.
But you have people who are not friendly, or not, they just do it because they want the fame, fortune, and I'm a booster for my whatever that team is.
No.
They want to have like their 5 minutes of fame. You have your kids are going to school. You went to school there. We don't even have the grades here.
No. I'll tell you.
Look at it. We look at it. I've been following Florida State since I was 9 years old with the Blockbuster Bowl, because I got sick and tired of hearing my brother about Miami.
I was there, and I actually, I'll tell you a bit of trivia. I met Joe Pa at that game.
Oh, you did? Nice.
I did. I certainly did. But
nice.
I'll say, and Bobby Bowden was as genuine as you can get. I had my son down there, and my good buddy was a Seminole who did the security for the Orange Bowl. So he brought us back down, and we watched the team come in. And I had my son with me at the time. He was like 7. I said, "Hey, Coach Bowden, this young man's going to play for you one day." And he stopped in the middle of a hectic, time. He said, "Son, I'm looking forward to it. I know you're going to be a good Seminole." And it was the coolest thing. My kid thought he was larger than life, and he made time for you, right? He made time for you. So that's how Norvell is. Norvell's very much similar. To me, he represents what we want as a university. I hold him in high esteem because he's doing all the right things.
Yeah, he reminds me, Mike Norvell, when he first came in here. I was such a Jimbo Fisher guy, because I love Jimbo because of Bobby Bowden, and Bobby brought Jimbo in And I just love listening to Jimbo Fisher, and I could talk Jimbo Fisher around here with these guys all the time. Going like,
Yeah.
how you doing, everybody? Yeah, we're gonna we're gonna take the ball down the field here. We're gonna use the arrows, you know, and on the floor, you know, it's just the way that he talked.
Yeah.
And I feel like Willie Taggart had no clue what was going on. You know, he was oblivious to the world because him and I went to Notre Dame for the game because we got media passes. And I'm sitting there in the press conference for Florida State, and I like doing my Florida State press conference because that's my team since I was 9. And I asked him a question. I go, Coach Taggart, why did you didn't put in Blackman or at the time I think Travis was the backup? And he looked at me and goes, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And little Chris, who's been, you know, little Chris, who's the 9-year-old, little Chris was looking at him going, staring at him like,
what happened?
Like I want to jump the counter and
sure
out of you. That's not the answer I want to hear.
No, yeah. And Pete, our good friend Danielle Jordan Kelly, who's watching, she says hi. She's not here today, but we know how crazy. We know how crazy of a Seminole fan she is, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Danielle actually interviewed Coach Bowden. She's just a breath of fresh air for our program too. She does it for the love of it. We all do a little space whenever we can. We bring on former players, parents, or what have you, and we just let them tell their story, and it's heartfelt. And we always try to promote our boosters. Like I said, you know, it's just a great feeling to be able to do that, and we're really appreciative of what he's doing right now in the program.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, man.
So yeah, Pete. So Coach Norvell, I mean, I've listened to him a while since he's been with Florida State, and I mean, when you listen to him, he really is a motivational speaker. I mean, he really speaks from the heart. He motivates, inspires, encourages his players. So just talk about Coach Norvell's motivational level with his players.
I think at first he had to figure it out. He went through quite a bit of challenge, right? He went through COVID. He also had a player that may have not agreed with what he said, if you guys remember. And he just had to rebuild that confidence in the team. He is by far the best motivational speaker. And, you know, the thing about him is he gets his players prepared. I truly believe in the fact that he's ready no matter what adversity's thrown his way. And he's shown it the last few games that, hey, you know, we don't have our number one player, in my opinion, on the field. And he gets the young men to believe in themselves, and they do. And they overcome a lot of adversity. His motivation is second to none. I've had a chance to meet him a couple of times and listen to him actually live, and just one of the most motivational speakers. And the guy is sharp. He prepares his team. He crosses his T's, dots his I's. He's very, very much into paying attention to detail. I know that he role plays with the team. That's kind of my style too. I like to walk my teams through any kind of situation. He's just like that. He takes it to the next level. And to be honest with you, the folks that work for him love him. So that tells a lot, right? That speaks volumes, doesn't it, about somebody when you enjoy going into your job, right? They call it a job for a reason. Right. But when you enjoy that, that's part of the whole motivation package, right? You go in and he's creating. If you hear the players in their interviews, they're very well spoken. They know what to say. They've been coached very well. He has a mindset that makes those young men run through a brick wall. And that's what you want with a coach, right? That's exactly what you want with a head coach. So I hope that answered what you were asking.
Oh, yes, definitely. And Chris and I were at the Wake Forest Florida State game about a month ago. And so, we got to interview some of the Wake Forest players, along with asking questions to Coach Norvell. And when we were talking with the players, they're very humble. It's an unselfish.
It's a very unselfish.
attitude, which is great. I mean, it just amazes me because I know Chris and I have been to a ton of media events with different teams and everything, and this is just absolutely amazing to hear the players have that unselfish attitude, to be humble, and to also go ahead and, I mean, to still feel motivated that they have something to prove.
Sure.
I mean, your team is undefeated. Most of the time, they're like, oh, well, we might get complacent. Okay, we're all great. We're all this and that.
Absolutely.
And then they lose. But Coach Mike Norvell really knows how to ground his players, really know how to motivate them. And every time that I listen to his interviews, his press conferences, just like yesterday with our pregame press conference on Friday, if for the fans out there, okay, you guys can get at least one or two, and that's being very minimal because you can take a lot more nuggets out of that. But he gives a lot of nuggets, words of wisdom that can help anyone in any walks of life.
Right. And I think that's a great point where his motivation not only speaks to the game, but to the walk of life and what you're going to do post football. And good friends of mine, Greg Bethune and Rob Deloche, were on an interview, if you all heard it, with Ira Schafel. And Greg said it best: it's bigger than football, because they're teaching life lessons and they're creating these experiences for these young men to be good in the community. They really push the academics part of it, which is great. That's what you want. We're probably one of the highest now grade point averages as a college football team than we've ever been. So those are bigger than the game, right? Yeah. And that really, to me, that's what it's all about: giving these young men a chance post football to be good humanitarians, professionals, and whatever you're going to do in all walks of life. So
yeah.
I'm gonna run on you guys in a minute, but I wanted to say real quick, good luck to my fellow Greek, John Papuch. I know you're probably going to listen to this later on. We appreciate everything you do. Special teams, like I always say, John, wins the games. Coach Storm, hey, we're all built by Coach Storm. He's a hidden gem. And of course, my good friend Mike Alford, for being an engineer and getting this program back on track. We appreciate you.
That's cool. Pete, real quick before I let you go, I want to ask, we were just talking about how Mike Norvell is respected through the community down there in Tallahassee. He's also respected through the football coaches community, because we had the Towson coach on this year, and I brought up Mike Norvell and how he gets motivated. And Pete Schimmick, the head coach of Towson, goes, I hear a lot of good things about that guy. I would like to meet him one day to get to know him, because he seems like a good person to feed off football ideas. And this is a guy who's been around. His father was a Baltimore Colt, back in the 50s. And his dad coached with John Madden. So you're pulling off all the good vibes of football, in one melting pot. And it's like, that's great for coaches who want to hear Mike talk.
Oh yeah, Mike he's a motivator. He's well respected amongst his peers. I was just having breakfast not too far from here and got a chance to meet a legend, Jackie Sherrill, if you guys remember him.
Well, that's right.
And he was in the lobby, Marriott, and I just say, "Hey, Coach, how you doing? Pleasure to meet you." We talked a little bit about the Aggies. He wasn't too happy with that, but he did mention you guys got a good one, and Coach Norvell. He recognized the fact that we have a good one with him. That's big, when those guys are giving your coach a compliment, and those are legends, really, at the end of the day. So,
yeah. Well, we hope to run into you tonight down at the stadium if it's not too rainy.
That's right. Yeah. All right, guys.
Yeah. So
always
we'll
a pleasure.
The show. Thanks for coming on.
All right. Thank you. See you, Adam.
Right. See you, Pete.
See you, Pete.
All right. Bye-bye.
See you, bye. All right, that's Pete the Greek, who one of Adam's buddies on Twitter.
Yes.
So but you do hear different views of people with boosters. You're like, oh God, there's a booster. Yeah, and plus also boosters get your coach out of town.
Sure.
Yeah, this is possible.
Like the Texas A&M boosters were trying to find all types of quarters and dimes and nickels to get
Jimbo.
Jimbo out of town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was a costly move.
76 million. You know what you can do with 76 million? It's called you can travel the world.
Well, and that's just with Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah.
That's not even including his assistants. So if you add on his assistants that are leaving, it's over 100 million in the Texas A&M.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's absolutely just blows my mind away.
And Jackie Sherrill, he just said he just had a chance to meet. Yeah, he actually turned Pittsburgh around. Now Pittsburgh's struggling again.
Yeah.
And nothing against Pat Narduzzi, but I feel like Pat might be on his way out if he doesn't turn it around next year. You can't have back-to-back losing seasons after going to a bowl and to a ACC title game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. I mean, he's definitely on the hot seat, and hopefully he'll be given one more year to prove himself, to prove that he can make a bowl game, and maybe have 8 wins, 9 wins. But we'll see what happens.
I think he had to get rid of all the garbage because he brought some people from that transfer portal, and the quarterback from Boston College didn't work with the system because he started fighting them.
Yeah.
And that's why Phil got benched after week 4 because he got tired of hearing Phil complaining about it in the newspaper. So
and it's like to me, after Kenny Pickett left, to go to the NFL, Pittsburgh hasn't looked the same. I mean, when Pittsburgh was in the ACC championship game, it was
Pickett, Fitzgerald.
Yeah, Larry Fitzgerald when he was a wide receiver at Pitt, and those two were incredible. And now you don't have really anybody.
Yeah. Well, let's talk Florida State football because we're going to have Jeff Culhane going to join us probably in like 9 minutes here, on the show here. But let's talk about Mike. We had a chance we all took care of. I think we took over that whole press room yesterday.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. So
I'm so excited about it. Yeah, we did. We got rid of the ACC network. Yeah,
well,
sorry, Bill.
Sorry, Bill. We love the ACC network. We love you, Bill. But Chris, I think we should play our interview.
Well, hold on. Well, let me just say something. I mean, I don't think that we took over. I just think that we were able. Well, I'm gracious and I'm very grateful and thankful that we were able to ask the questions.
Yeah,
we were so happy and joyful.
So I'm just happy that we were just able to ask some questions to Coach Norvell.
Oh, I know. I appreciate talking to Coach Norvell. But we were so happy and joyful going in the car. Like we felt like we were like an unranked basketball team going into North Carolina and pulling off the upset.
So I know that all of us were very happy to go ahead and to ask questions, but I mean, like the big networks, they are the ones that are in control and everything and all that.
I think your question was on one of the big networks.
Oh yes, in fact, Chris said you told me that one of the questions did make on the big networks and everything. So I mean, I just know that I'm just very thankful and grateful that we were able to have an opportunity to go ahead and to ask these questions to Coach Norvell, and that we were called upon to do that, because there's no guarantees that we're gonna get called on to answer or to ask those questions. So I'm just very thankful for that opportunity.
So folks, here's our questions.
Let's do with Matt's question. Matt, what was your question for Mike? You were the first one. You asked him about the integrity of the team, and
there were so many questions I asked yesterday to Coach Norvell and to Coach Brohm.
Yeah, I think I asked him about the pedigree of the team going 12-0 and.
I asked him about like what has led to your success to be on 12-0 team this season.
All right, let's play that. Here's Mike Norvell answering Matt's answer. Next question.
Cam, middle of the room.
Hey, Mike, Chris Heidel from Herbison Radio. I guess we got all three here. Just talk about the quarterbacks. I know this year we had a lot of games that was.
Wrong one. Sorry, I hit the wrong one.
That's what we call mulligan in golf.
Mulligan.
That's mulligan, folks.
I think this might be you.
With your coach Matt Truckinelli from Herb FM Sports Radio, and what are the things that have led to your success of having a 12-0 season so far?
It comes down to the players, their work ethic, the buy-in, taking each experience and really working to get better from it. And I think we have a confident football team. They're confident because of the experience and the experiences that they've had and the work that they poured into it. They really care about each other. We found ourselves in a lot of different situations throughout those 12 games. We've been up big. We've had moments where we've trailed. We've had to come back, and this team has never flinched. They really have a lot of belief in each other, and we've got a lot of talented individuals on our roster.
Yeah, so he believes in. You got individuals who believe in the package of what Mike brings to the team. When you don't have anybody who believes in something, then you have problems. It's like you see in baseball. See if the manager is not on board with the rest of the team, you have a losing season, and that manager's out the door, like Buck Showalter or whoever. But if you're not on the same, if you're on the same page with your coach, then you guys can work together, and it'll be a fun clubhouse instead of a quiet and dismal clubhouse.
And plus, you can tell when you have team chemistry, when you have an unselfish team, when the players are humble, and when they're playing with togetherness, brotherhood. You can tell those things just by the way the players play, their results. So it's evident on the field. It's evident with the reactions of the players, how they interact with the other coaches, along with the head coach on the field, and just it's very evident. So, but I mean, I'm just extremely impressed with Coach Norvell's level to motivate his players.
Yeah.
I mean, each and every press conference I listen to, whether if it's in person or if it's on YouTube and everything, with all his games, he always gives some kind of nuggets and some kind of words of wisdom. And again, I know I said this probably about 10 minutes ago to Pete, but I really recommend you guys, if if you guys listen, if you enjoy learning and if you want to improve yourself as a human being, I really recommend you guys listen to Coach Norvell's press conferences. I mean, he really definitely goes ahead and just gives individuals words of wisdom that can help you out and help you become a better person in life.
Yeah. And I asked a good question to Coach Norvell.
Well, we're going to say that from Jeff. We want to hear Jeff's opinion about Coleman, because we're waiting for Jeff to join us here.
Yeah, I will say it was really cool to be at the press conference yesterday and to see the walkthroughs. I think American Stadium, home to the Carolina Panthers.
1-11.
1-11. Yeah. We're in. Yeah, folks. The Carolina Panthers. Christian McCaffrey isn't there anymore, and I feel sorry for Bryce Young after everything he's gone through this year.
Yeah. Well, we want to say hello to Gene Deckenhoff. He's probably not watching this program, but he's on his way to Tampa because he's doing the Bucks games tomorrow.
Yeah, versus
so he's doing the Carolina Panther game against the Bucks.
So Gene is called. If you're watching, hi, it's called.
Gene's been a friend of this program since the day one that you and I got a chance to meet him down at the ACC kickoff.
Yeah. To me, seeing the walkthroughs yesterday and going to the press conferences was like dream come true. So
yeah, exactly. So let's we're waiting for Jeff to join us here. Let's in the meantime, we'll put we'll give you the top of the. Oh, here's Jeff. There he is.
Yeah.
Right, so you want to welcome it in?
I'm sure. Well, folks. Not only is Florida State football in North Carolina, but the Florida State men's basketball team is in Chapel Hill today, with Seminoles taking on the North Carolina Tar Heels, and you'll be able to listen to that game starting at 2:00 Eastern on the Seminole Sports Network. And joining us now is the voice of Florida State, and he's got a long day of travel going from Chapel Hill to Charlotte. So let's
I don't
bring.
know if he's doing both games. We'll see. He might do double duty by the time 11 o'clock.
Yeah, so let's
he
bring.
might pass out, right, Jeff? He might pass out in the press box if you do back-to-back games.
Yeah, gentlemen, good morning. Hello to everybody watching, and it's a big day. I tried to, Adam, get both games in today. Coach Norvell wouldn't lend me his helicopter. So
Okay. All right. All right.
I'm in Charlotte, and our guys Eric Llewellyn and Jacob Ridenau are on the call in Chapel Hill starting at 1:30 this afternoon.
We'll see you. We'll see you at the game. And yesterday, I had a chance to ask Coach Norvell the impact of Keon Coleman. He transferred it. We know he transferred in from Michigan State, and he has had one spectacular year. So here's the question I asked Coach Norvell.
We're going to play the clip, and we'll talk more about it. Okay, hold on.
Middle of the room.
Adam Limery from FM Sports Radio. We'll just talk about the impact that Keon Coleman has had on your team this year.
Keon is a special player, and not only what he does at receiver, how he's impacted our special teams units, unbelievable punt returner, but he's a great teammate. He makes everybody around him better. He's come in from the very first day, and he's really worked at an extremely high level. He's come in and learned the system. We can move him around a lot of different places. His game speaks for itself. Just the versatility, the playmaking ability. He's definitely a wonderful example of what we want, and he's just continued to impress with each opportunities that he's got, and he's made big plays in every game, and we're going to need him to show up again big tomorrow night.
All right, so Jeff, what's your take? You've been with Coleman all year long. Good transfer portal guy from Michigan State. Coming here, taking over. The great catch at Wake Forest. We saw the one-handed catch in the end zone. So, what was it like being with him in day-to-day operations when he gets a chance to talk to him?
Yeah, I would echo everything that Coach Norvell said. I mean, he has really come in, guys, and been a tremendous teammate. He got here May, June, and went to work. And he and Jordan Travis developed an unbelievable relationship. And I think that's why you saw the connection those two had in the passing game. And he's had an unbelievable season. He's one of 3 players in the country with 300 punt return yards this season as well. And so that's a position that he has never done before. And we needed a guy after Micah Pittman left and went to Utah, and Keon Coleman said, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And it shows you the athleticism. It shows you the skill. And he's been a tremendous addition to this football team.
So tonight with the weather is supposed to be around here, it's supposed to be like, we don't know. It might be raining, may not be raining. It was in your neck of the woods. It might be raining. It may not be raining at the stadium. We're not built for the rain because we haven't really played in a rain game this year. I know last year, I know Gainesville had a lot of rain before the game, but wasn't during the game. But can this running game work in the mud, pretty much, or on the artificial turf at Bank of America Stadium?
Right. Yeah, I think it has to, rain or shine tonight, guys. I think Florida State really needs to run the football, and depending on who plays the quarterback spot tonight, if Tate Rodemaker is cleared or if it's Brock Glenn, it's going to be critical. And Louisville does an amazing job. They're the number 1 rushing defense in the league. They've got a tremendous front. They're very active. They show you multiple looks and move around. And Florida State's offensive line will be under a spotlight tonight and under the microscope to help move this Louisville bunch around. So, with the conditions, obviously the concern is ball security. Florida State's the best team in the country, just giving it up 5 times all year. Knock on wood. We want to see that number stay the same following 60 minutes of football tonight. But, Trey Benson has a flair for the dramatic, and he's been tremendous in big games, 3 touchdowns last week versus Florida. And if Brock Glenn plays, guys, he can move. I mean, he's got the ability to make plays with his legs. So something to keep an eye on if that comes to be here tonight.
That's before Matt. That's a question I was going to ask you about backup quarterbacks, because all year long, Jordan didn't play the fourth quarter sometimes. He was like, bench because we were up, 45-9 or 45-10 or something. And you brought in the backups to, get them, situated, even with the North Alabama game, that you saw that horrible injury. And you being a broadcaster, you had to keep yourself, grounded and trying to figure out how to keep people motivated to listen to the broadcast, because of that's sick and disgusting what happened. But bringing in both both quarterbacks in that game, I feel like they know what's going on now. So if one of them is down, like, Tate is down tonight because of the concussion, the other guy could jump in and he knows the offense. And I think the offense won't skip a beat if these two are back and back.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think Brock is ready mentally to execute the game plan. He is as locked in, as confident as a young player can be. He asked a ton of questions. I saw where, he was speaking with reporters earlier this week in media and basically said, I'm probably pretty annoying with all the questions that I ask, to the coaches and to Jordan and to everybody else. So, mentally he's tremendous. Physically, he's got the tools, right? He can do it. It's just the experience, speed of the game, and the setting. How do you handle your emotions in this situation with what's on the line and the potential opportunity to play, the win in the college football playoff? So if he goes, he'll be ready. And, we saw it last week. He was in late when Tate got hit and knocked out of the game for a few plays. He checked it to a pass play to him on his first snap. So he's going to attack. That's the thing about Brock Glenn that we're coming to learn, is that he's going to go after it with all he's got.
Man, now go ahead and ask Jeff the question.
So Jeff, what are the keys to the game tonight?
Well, I think with the quarterback spot, that's a big starting point for this game. Who is going to play? Even if Tate goes, I would not be shocked if we see Brock even potentially for a series. Who knows? Who knows what Mike Norvell is going to have, in the bag of tricks in this game tonight. But, to me, keys to the game, the start of it's very interesting. Louisville is a great starting team. They're a great first quarter team, guys. You look at how they've outscored opponents in the first quarter this season. They've scored 9 times in 12 opening game drives with 8 touchdowns. They've also been able to hold the opponent off the scoreboard in the opening drive in 16 straight games. So I think the starting point's very interesting in this game tonight, without a doubt. Their running backs are tremendous. Jawar Jordan and Isaac Guerrero are the top duo in duo rushing yards in the ACC. So they're very good. I think Florida State's defense has to be what they have been. I think they have to take the ball away. They've done that in 16 of the last 17 games. And we've seen Patrick Payton and Jared Verse emerge, I think, as the top defensive end duo in the entire conference and one of the best in all of college football. So can you get to Jack Plummer? Can you fluster him? And can you get takeaways when you're talking about that matchup? And the 2 losses this year for this Louisville team, they've been -5 in the turnover margin with their losses versus Pitt and Kentucky. So can you get to Plummer? Can you rattle him? Can you take the football away? And, maybe special teams can be key. It has been when this team's needed a response all year.
Yeah. So, Jeff, I'll let you go because I know you got a lot of stuff to do, getting prepared, because I know you just got here and you got a lot of people you got to see and stuff. But what time is the broadcast for the folks who want to listen to on XM Radio, or if they have the Seminole app? Because I have that on my phone here, and it works really well when I'm sitting around the house trying to listen to Florida State games if I'm busy working.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Chris. Yeah, download the FSU Game Day app, free to download. Our airtime is at 5:30 p.m. Eastern tonight here in Charlotte from Bank of America Stadium, and kickoff time around 8:15 p.m. tonight. So bring your favorite beverage, grab a snack, and stay late in the night with us for a big-time game with a college football playoff bid on the line.
That's great. So, Jeff, good luck with the broadcast, and we'll see you at the stadium, all right?
Thanks, guys, for having me. Always appreciate it, and go Knowles.
Hey, go Knowles.
See you, Jeff. See you. Bye. Yeah, he's a busy man. I don't want to keep him too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's such a great friend to the show.
Yes, he is.
It's fascinating. Anytime I email him, he's like, "Well, what time do you want me to come on?"
Yeah.
It's like no questions asked. It's like I was like, "What am I, ESPN?" I was like, I'm like really impressed by that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I will say, it's very, we all grew up listening to the voice of Seminole Gene Deckerhoff, and now to say here's Jeff Culhane, who came over from North Dakota State, and it's he's done an amazing job in Tallahassee. So
I think it's really hard, Adam, to take over from a legend.
Gene.
Yeah, Gene is like the staple of what North Florida and Tampa is, and having somebody taking over, it's like our friend Dave Ryan taking over Chris Schenkel's spot, you know, and it's like, everybody's like, yeah, you're not Gene. Who are you? You're not Gene. And for me, when I first heard that he was becoming the Florida State broadcaster, I said, I know this guy.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute. So I went through my archives and I'm like, I just talked to him last year at North Dakota State.
Yeah.
It's like,
so it's like,
it's like,
I mean,
it's crazy. That's small world.
Small world out there, folks. And
I think he's happy he's not in North Dakota State because he's freaking cold up there.
Yeah. But we've talked about a lot of college football championship games, but there's a couple more we should discuss, and one of them is actually taking place in Las Vegas later on today, and that is the Mountain West Conference Championship between UNLV, which has been a surprising team this year, and Boise State. We know all about. We know that Boise State. We know about the Statue of Liberty play against Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl a couple years ago, and UNLV this year.
I have to give you the mic. I'm like holding the mic doing View in Las Vegas, and you're just yapping in the corner.
Yeah, so I think.
I hope you can hear Adam. If you're listening to us, please send us a comment, on our comment page here, and we'll give you a shout out.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very close game in Las Vegas, and this may surprise people. I actually have UNLV taking down Boise State in Vegas, and another game that I have my own specifically because I live in Western North Carolina, and it's not far away from where I live, is the Sun Belt Championship game, and that's between
Troy and Appalachian State, or it should have been JMU.
Yeah,
if
it should have been
knocked off Appalachian State a couple weeks ago, but that Hail Mary and then in the overtime by Appalachian State and ruined the Dukes, and now the Dukes are looking for a new coach because Coach Sigonelli went to the Big Ten in Indiana. We'll talk about that on Monday's show.
Yeah, I will say that, folks. I have Appalachian State knocking off Troy today because I have some friends who love to go to the App State games in Boone, so I have to say, go Mountaineers, go.
So how close is Boone from your house?
It's only about maybe 4 hours away. So
it's only 4 hours.
Yeah, so it's like when
it's only 4 hours.
It's only 4 hours. It's like 4 minutes, Adam.
It's like
it's just 4 hours.
I will say when ESPN College Game Day went up to Boone last year, for the App State game, it was really cool to see, coming to a Sun Belt school, and
it was cool to see JMU because I have a house down in Harrisonburg.
Yeah.
And that's still a small college, no matter what. Yeah. I'm trying to get Alexander Ogletree on. He used to play for the Georgia Bulldogs.
And speaking of Georgia, and folks, if you don't already know, the SEC championship game is taking place, and somebody in this room, no names will be mentioned, is happy because someone's going with an upset tonight. So Matt, tell them your pick.
Tell my pick already. Okay, I'll tell my pick. We got Alabama, number 8 Alabama, which I feel, in my opinion, should be a lot higher than number 8, but that's neither here nor there. If I was on the committee, I would definitely. But if I was on the committee, I feel that they deserve and they've earned a higher spot than number 8. But it'll all be settled on the field tonight because number 8 Alabama is going to take on number 1 Georgia Bulldogs, and I feel Roll Tide. Alabama Crimson Tide will upset the Georgia Bulldogs. The only question is, are they both going to get into the playoffs?
That's a good question, Matt. And
this is like Christmas vacation. We got Eddie coming off the RV.
Yeah, that's a good. Hey, Chris, it's kind of, that's a good point.
Good reference.
Yeah, and actually,
good cooking.
Yeah.
Clark.
Yeah, and
over there is an RV.
So
them potatoes.
Yes, Matt. I think it's going to be a very close game in Atlanta. To me, the way Alabama can score and how Georgia can score, I say the first to 50, because that's going to be a quite interesting game down in the ATL at 4 o'clock Eastern time. Oh yeah, folks. Let's not forget, it's the final SEC game on CBS, because next year they have a new contract with ESPN and ABC. So I think,
the Big Ten is going to be on CBS.
Yeah,
There's
the
going to be Big Ten on CBS. They're going to have more Big Ten games. Like this year, they split between SEC and Big Ten on CBS. I think CBS should be going back to the old days when they used to cover every college football game.
Yeah, I like the regional. I like the regional coverage that they had in the 80s and the early 90s. Especially when ABC had games at 3:30, you had games from the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the Pac-12. Well, we know it as the Pac-10. That's what I grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
So, and occasionally they had games from the WAC, and they had games featuring Steve McNair, who was at Alcorn State. So I think they should go back
to have games back in the 70s. They used to have everybody on. Even on ABC, they used to have Towson State was on because they played in the Stag Bowl.
Yeah,
that was on ABC.
Yeah,
back in 1976.
And it's gonna. It's the last SEC game on CBS, but tonight's game, even though I'm picking Roll Tide to upset them, that it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a close game. And, both teams have explosive offenses. Even though, and I feel both teams have been tremendously underestimated throughout the season, Alabama and Georgia, and people are still underestimating Georgia. So, and Georgia's number one in the country. They are a two-time defending champion. My only question is, if Alabama does upset Georgia, then will both teams get in? And you have to automatically assume. I know you don't want to assume anything because we all know what happens when you do that. But you have to assume that whichever team, especially if Alabama wins, that they're going to automatically get in. Okay, we have never had so far an SEC champ not get into the playoffs.
Right.
So, but then if Alabama does win, you're thinking of a two-time defending national champ. Their only loss to the SEC champion possibly not getting in. And it's all going to depend on today's results. Michigan versus Iowa, Texas versus Oklahoma State, Florida State versus Louisville. Those three games right there will determine. Now, if Georgia beats Alabama, then of course Georgia's going to get in, Alabama won't. But if Alabama does upset Georgia, those three games right there that I just mentioned will determine if both of those SEC teams gets into the playoffs. So, and with 99% of the statistics saying that Michigan will win, who knows? There could be a massive upset in Indianapolis tonight. There could be. But who knows? We got Texas versus Oklahoma State, Florida State versus Louisville. So there's going to be some games, and there could be some upsets. I know last night some people are thinking that the game in Vegas was an upset, was not an upset, depending on who you talk to. If you look at the spread, Oregon was favored by 9.5, but Oregon also was number 5 in the country. Washington was number 3. Washington's undefeated. Oregon has one loss at the time. Now they got 2 losses, but so depending on what statistic you look at, okay, the thing is that Washington felt disrespected. I think that they felt tremendously disrespected going to that game, and they said, why in the world are we – maybe if they were a couple-point underdogs, they would say, okay, that's fine. But they were 9.5-point underdogs in that game last night. Yep. They just thought – I don't know. People just thought, I guess, Oregon was going to blow them away. Granted, Oregon, Bo Nix, trajectory up. Okay,
Yeah.
Penix has been declining, and they've been winning by the ever so close margins for the past 6 games or so. So I can see where that spread could have been validated, but gosh, that really motivated Washington to pull off what was an upset. And when you look at it, people are saying upset. Washington was undefeated. Oregon had 1 loss at the time. But again, I mean, that's just shocking for me to see an undefeated team versus a 1-loss team, and the undefeated team, Washington, being 9.5-point underdogs. That was just shocking. So Washington used all that motivation to pull off the upset, and they're guaranteed in the playoffs now. It's just the only question is which spot will they be in, first, second, or third?
Yeah. Jim, you got the wrong number.
Yeah,
Sorry. He keeps calling me, like, dude, I don't have any plays. You talk to your brother John,
Yeah. One thing on that we forget. Last time Washington was undefeated was in the early '90s when they had a spectacular running back named Napoleon Kaufman.
Yeah, and they split the national title with Miami.
Yeah, and
91.
91.
There's gonna be no split this year.
No, there ain't gonna be no split. And if Michigan ends up winning the Big Ten championship game tonight, we could see a rematch of a classic Rose Bowl from the early '90s. So, yeah, it's going to be quite an interesting Saturday night.
Well, we're going to have interesting all the way to probably 2 in the morning when everything all gets finally figure out and what's going on and who's going to be where, and then they got to turn around tomorrow afternoon at 12 noon, talk for 4 hours on ESPN before they reveal the top 4. And then you got all the other you got the Rose Bowl and the Peach Bowl and the Cotton Bowl, and everybody wants to get the best team to come to their place. Like Gary Stokely wants to have Penn State to come to to Atlanta because he thinks he'll get a better draw with Penn State coming to to the ATL because of their good following of their football team. And
Speaking about bowl games, Chris and Adam, I'm hearing all the majority of the projections are saying for the ReliaQuest Bowl is going to be Notre Dame versus LSU, and we all know LSU has the coach Brian Kelly versus Notre Dame. Okay, and we know the head coach of Notre Dame is Marcus Freeman. But what do you guys think of that potential matchup?
Well, that's like we were here in Florida State was hoping for Texas A&M so we could play Jimbo.
But
we're probably not going to get an opportunity to do that because Jimbo got fired. But watching BK take on Marcus Freeman, we'll see if Marcus Freeman can annihilate him in Florida because BK doesn't play well in the state of Florida anyway.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he's like what 2-10 or something.
That's true.
Yeah, like last year he won against Purdue at the CarQuest Bowl or whatever the Florida Citrus Bowl because Purdue didn't have everybody on their roster. They all left to go to the NFL draft or transfer portal. So they had the hot dog vendor and the parking attendant and all that stuff to be coached. But I just think to me that'll be an interesting game, and maybe we should save up our funds for that, Matt. Maybe we want to go to Tampa. And see that game.
We could. I mean, that would be.
Yeah.
I mean that's talked. I mean, I've read things where that is.
Yeah. Let's see if we pull up the bold predictions here. We're waiting for Priscilla. Priscilla's having problems with getting on.
What do you think of that?
Next year.
Well, to me, if that does happen, Notre Dame LSU, we may have. That would be quite an interesting matchup, Matt. I would not have a. I think the point spread would be quite interesting. I don't know who the favorite would be.
I think LSU would be the favorite going in, but you have what's going to be very contentious.
Okay, here you go. Here's CBS Sports Network. They got if Florida State wins, they go to the Sugar to take on Georgia. The last time we played Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, we lost to them because we didn't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Michigan and Washington in the Rose Bowl, and then yesterday Texas versus Tulane. So Tulane gets 2 opportunities to play in 2 back-to-back big bowl games. Yeah, they did last year. They played in the Cotton Bowl last year
Against USC.
Yeah, and then you got Louisville versus Ohio State in the Orange Bowl, because Louisville will be the ACC representative if Florida State wins tonight. So they'll still go to the Orange Bowl.
Now, I got a question for both of you. So Tulane has 1 loss. Liberty is undefeated. Now, don't you think that Liberty deserves that spot over Tulane?
I think so. I agree.
think so.
I agree.
think
I
so.
agree.
I mean,
Yeah, and then you got Missouri taking on Penn State in the Peach Bowl. That's what's his name, Coach, our good friend Gary Stoken. Maybe I'll give him a call today and see if he's available on Monday.
Yeah, look at that Cotton Bowl prediction.
Oh,
Yeah, and then look at the other bowl games. So you have here's CBS Sports talking about Notre Dame and LSU.
You know what, guys? I think, well, I know there's nothing official, but I've been looking at a lot of different websites, okay? And CBS Sports was the only website where they did not have Notre Dame playing LSU. They had Notre Dame playing NC State. They had Notre Dame playing Oklahoma State. But now the new projection is in the Reliquest Bowl is Irish versus LSU. And I think there's a 98% chance of that happening now.
I'll agree. And take a look at some of the other
the other bowl games.
One game that stands out to me is the Sun Bowl. Miami of Florida with Tyler Van Dyke going to the transfer portal against Oregon State and their quarterback DJ Ungalaway, who transferred from Clemson to out there to Corvallis. So two guys who were 2 quarterbacks in the transfer portal for, in that game if it happens. Yeah.
So you got that one, Gator, and then you got the Pop-Tart Bowl. We got Oklahoma State going back there. And then the other games coming in here. The Duke and Kentucky in the Duke Mayor Bowl.
We're looking at Holiday Bowl, Clemson versus USC.
Oh, that'd be a
good one to go to.
And we can confirm.
Yeah, yes. Go right ahead, say it.
And we can confirm one bowl game that is official. San Jose State from the Mountain West. It's going to take on Coastal Carolina in the
Hawaii Bowl.
No, in the Hawaii Bowl. So 2 days before Christmas. So that's going to, you're looking at a couple other games.
Well, Maryland going to Utah, especially go to Utah, take on go to Vegas to play Utah. That's going to be that's going to be interesting.
Well, guys, and what Adam just said with that Hawaii Bowl and the 23rd San Jose State versus Coastal Carolina, that is guaranteed. So write that down, put it in pen. That's a guaranteed matchup right there.
Well, this bowl game is not even exist right now because Bahamas Bowl, they're working on the stadium.
Well, actually,
so they moved it to Charlotte.
It's taking place.
It's the Jerry Richardson football classic or something like that.
Yeah.
Now look at that team that's projected in there. Liberty is 12-0. I mean, how is Liberty only getting to a Bahamas Bowl prediction?
They need to go to a group of. To me, they need to.
Well, I'm trying to get people. Here's the link.
Can you click on the link?
What, this link?
No.
Oh, the other one. Sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to get people on here. Yeah.
So click on that. Okay. So thanks, Chris, for doing that.
No problem.
Okay. So guys. So we got the CBS Sports prediction back up. Okay. So we got other interesting matchups. We have Boise State versus New Mexico State in the New Mexico Bowl.
Look at JMU.
Versus Toledo.
Well, here's the thing: JMU has to go with an ESPN bowl or a tie-in because they have a because of the situation that they got accepted as a bowl team, but they don't have any tie-ins because the Sun Belt only has maybe one tie-in.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the champion, and I think it's going to be probably South Alabama. Why is South Alabama? Hold on, Sun Belt 1, 2. Appalachian State, and then as a pool one. Oh, I got to go into the pool.
Yeah.
Army and Air Force.
I mean, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be quite interesting college football Saturday. You know, and folks, if you think last weekend was crazy, I don't think we see anything yet tonight. And I will say this: I should get the microphone. I think, to me, you're going to see an upset.
Adam, who are you predicting?
Somewhere down the so.
Are you saying Alabama will be upset? Oh, is that a yes? Oh, Adam just looked at me.
Folks, you heard it here first. I know it's being played in Atlanta, but you know something. The voice of Alabama, Eli Gold, has been through a lot in his time with cancer and everything. So, in honor of Eli Gold, I'm picking Alabama to upset Georgia in Atlanta tonight. So mark that down, folks. Okay. And in the other games, in the other championship games, I'm going with the Miami of Ohio Red Hawks to knock off Toledo. UNLV is knocking off Boise State in Vegas. I have Texas squeaking by Oklahoma State in Dallas. Appalachian State is knocking off Troy. Michigan. Oh, and we actually have a special.
Oh, that's good.
And folks, we'd like to welcome in our next guest. Her father played at Florida State for back in the 50s, and her father went into the Florida State Hall of Fame. So let's welcome in Priscilla Proctor.
And her dad.
Hello.
Her dad too.
And my dad, Dr. William Proctor. This is him.
Thank you.
Hi, doctor. How you doing? Thank you for coming on.
Yeah. So thanks so much. So just talk about what it's like to be an alumnus of Florida State.
Oh, I love it. I love everything. I grew up going to almost all the games, many of the games. I was born in Tallahassee. My dad was coaching alongside Bobby Bowden under Bill Peterson at the time of mine and my brother's births. So he was working on his master's and doctorate at that time. So after he moved on from Tallahassee, and my mom and all of us, we still grew up going to the games a lot, and we grew up major FSU fans. My dad, when we were little, had these little Seminole bobbleheads that were on either side of the TV. And if we lost a game, those heads were turned around until FSU won.
Oh, wow.
That was his tradition. So we grew up big FSU fans, but to be an alum of the school, my uncle's an alum, my aunt is an alum, my mother, my daughter, my cousin, my son is going there, all of us, almost all of us. So.
Wow. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. So talk about the Florida State team this year. We all know what happened when Jordan Travis went down against North Alabama. So just talk about what have you thought of the Florida State team this year?
Oh, I think they're spectacular. I absolutely love watching them play. Watching Jordan play. I love that he can run the ball the way he does as a quarterback. The defense is just beyond spectacular. Everything that Norvell has done with this team in the last 3 years has just been phenomenal. To go from where we were to where we are now, undefeated, is it's like a dream for us to be back. It feels like we're back in the Bobby era somewhat, So I'm disappointed that this happened to Travis, but I think we have it. I think we're going to do well. I think this is a scrappy team. I think that they love one another deeply. I think they work together well. And I think that there's a really good chance we're going to pull out a win tonight. So
Yeah. Chris, you have a question for Priscilla?
Yeah. Hi, Priscilla. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Chris.
This is really
You're
this is an honor to talk to you and your father because I've been a Florida State fan since I was 9 years old. I don't have the grades for it. I wish I had grades to go down to Tallahassee, but my brothers and I grew up watching college football, and one brother likes Miami for some apparent reason, and the other one likes Florida. For, I guess they got my mom had something wrong with them at birth or something. I don't know why, but sorry, Mom. But me being a Florida State fan, I always got picked on in my house because we were always the I felt like we were like the third child in the whole triangle of Florida football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we always got picked on and all that stuff. But it's pretty cool that your father, was part of the days when they were building the program.
Yes.
And back in the 50s when people didn't realize that Florida State played Villanova. Villanova was a Division I school before they go back to the CAA right now where they are right now. And I think it's pretty cool hearing all these different, your father has cool stories about the 50s, and he played with Lee Corso and some guy named Bobby, Burt Reynolds, that was pretty
Buddy
cool.
Reynolds,
Buddy Reynolds.
Yeah.
We played Smoking and the Bandit in the beginning of the show because it's always cool to hear that. But ask your dad, what was it like having those two as a teammate? Because I think it's cool to hear Lee Corso still doing College Game Day, and he's always a Florida State fan no matter what, and also with Burt Reynolds in the same backfield.
Okay. They want to know what it was like having Buddy Reynolds and Lee Corso as teammates back in the day.
Oh, that was quite an experience. They were obviously two very different type of people. Buddy was on his way to an acting career, and Lee was a very talented quarterback and running back, and he was a smart young man. So I enjoyed both of them, thought a lot of them, and was fortunate to be able to play with them.
That's cool. That's awesome. And what was it like coaching also as well? You were with Bobby Bowden when Bobby was a assistant coach before he left to go to Sanford, and then he went to some team called West Virginia, and then he came back to Florida State.
What was it like coaching with Bobby under Bill Peterson before he went on to West Virginia? What was it like coaching with Bobby?
Bobby and I became not only coaching friends, but very good personal friends. He and Ann traveled with my wife and me down to the Caribbean when we beat, I guess the big game that year was the Florida game. And that's when the boosters sent the coaching staff that gave us a choice. We could take the money or we could take the trip. Bobby and I got outvoted because we were the two poorest ones on the staff. We wanted the money, but we had the trip anyway. So we went, and we had a good time. But I enjoyed both of them. I considered both of them friends. Bill Peterson got a lot of high regard for Bill. He did a good job for FSU at the time he was there. And of course, Coach Bowden's career speaks for itself. It can hardly be improved upon, and I doubt that it ever will be.
Wow, that's pretty cool. It's awesome that you got a chance to meet both gentlemen and all that stuff. And what do you think about this year's team? Does it anything similar to what you grew, when you were playing? Anything similar? I know football is different this time of year, 2023, than to 1950. But is there anything similar that you say, hey, these guys are just like what I played with?
What do you think about this year's team? Is there any similarities between this year's team and during the time that you coached your players?
It's a different, in some ways, it's a different game. I don't know that I'm qualified now to draw comparisons between the different styles.
Right.
The thing that I think went well with us is when Coach Peterson went out to the California and came back and decided we would be a passing team. We weren't going to get the great running backs, but we got some better ones than people thought we could recruit. But the passing game was Coach Peterson's great contribution, I think, to FSU football at that time. Now, Coach Norvell, it seems to me he's got a real good handle on what he's doing. I like to watch what changes he makes at halftime. I think that's one of his real strengths, the gentleman that's there now. It seems to me he can, at halftime, he can make adjustments that have been very productive.
Nice. That's cool. Matt, you got a question for Priscilla or Coach Bill or Professor Dr. Bill?
Yeah, so just talk about and either one of you, either one or both of you can answer this. Just talk about the adversities that this year's Florida State's team has had to overcome and how that will benefit them in the championship game.
What adversities do you think this Florida State team has had to overcome, and how will that benefit them in the future? Is that the question?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
What adversities do you think our current Florida State team has had to overcome, and how will that benefit them in the future?
Depends. Hard to say. The big shocker was the Boston College game, and they've managed to pull that one out. And I think that was a great overcoming. This now with the loss of the number one quarterback, I think the team is pulling itself together. They're supporting whoever the quarterback is going to be. I think he did a great job against Florida. And I think the team came back from a deficit and obviously had a lot of unity and were able to overcome adversity.
Okay. Priscilla, question for you.
Yes.
Growing up as a young lady, a lot of people back in the 50s and 60s, a lot of girls didn't really watch a lot of football. I know my mom watched a lot of baseball, and she knew Brooks Robinson and all that stuff here in Baltimore. And I know I'm in Charlotte right now. But for you, who was your favorite players growing up watching Florida State? Because that was basically your pro team, pretty much.
Well, in the 70s, the joke was that I knew every single name in the roster. They would hand out magazines when we would go. And of course, I had crushes on so many of them in there. And the names that stuck out to me were Dave Capellan.
Okay.
I had the big crush on him. But I remember I had a big
we're putting you on the spot right now. Yeah. Go ahead.
Jimmy Jordan, Monk Bonasorte. Gosh, there were so many. I knew all of the names at that time, and I'm not sure, I knew as much about what was going on then as, say, an 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old as I do now. Yeah. But that fervor, that Seminole blood, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like being a Seminole fan. There's just not. I mean, you sit out there and you watch the Chief Osceola come out with the spear. It's unprecedented. You can't compare any other team's entrance to that, at least in my opinion. So growing up around that, going to Florida State and being able to go to the same school where my parents met, where my aunt was a marching chief, my mother was in the Flying High Circus, my dad was a player on the football team, my uncle was a player on the football team, my daughter just graduated with a degree in electrical engineering last December. It just runs in our blood. So being an alumna, I'm a member of Delta Zeta sorority. I advise several roles within that sorority, so I stay active with them that way. I just love FSU, everything about it. Yeah. I went to 2 games this year in person, the Miami game and the Duke game, both very good games. Both very good games. And like Dad, I often refer to them as the cardiac kids. It's just we'll start watching together and Dad's like, Dad, gummit. And I'm like, Dad, give it time. They're going to come back. They will pull this together in the second half. Just watch. I'm telling you now. And they do. And we all leave like breathless and worn out until the next day. But they won. I think if nothing else, this team is they're scrappy. they're a scrappy bunch, and they love one another, and they support one another, and they find a way every time to win. And that's
I just hope for. Wait, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Besides going to see the football games did you go watch like the baseball team or any other Florida State sports teams while you were there?
Yeah, we went to some of the baseball games. Me and my girlfriend was dating a baseball player at the time, and we went to my sorority sister back when they had the little tomahawk character that would walk around the basketball court was actually Tommy Hawk is what they called him. She was Tommy Hawk. So we went to some of those as well. The spirit of FSU, the beautiful campus, there's nothing. It's incomparable. You can't. There's nothing to compare it to. There really isn't. And if I could go back for 1 month, I would do it in a heartbeat. I'd like to go back and sit on the front porch of Delta Zeta and talk to Miss Ellie, the house mother. She's just adorable. It's changed a lot. It's changed a lot with taking out a lot of the things that were there when I was there and putting in College Town and all that kind of stuff. But it's also kept a lot of the same things that make it Florida State. So even at night, riding downtown and visiting, going past the stadium and seeing just how huge it is and knowing what it's going to be like the next night for a game. We used to go down every single game and we'd go to the downtown get downs. I don't think they have them anymore. And it's just like that party you're going to have before you know it's time for the game to start. When Dad was athletic director, he was interim athletic director in the season of 2007. TK Weatherall was a good friend of his. He coached TK back in the day. And that was a lot of fun too, to be able to go up and sit in the AD box for that season. We really were grateful for that experience. So I was hoping that y'all might ask Dad for a really good story he could tell you during his coaching days or even playing days.
Yeah. We got time. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have one story, Daddy, that stands out that's kind of humorous or funny or cute to tell them about back when you were coaching?
Yeah. One that sticks in my mind is in my senior year, we beat a North Carolina State on an opening, but then we had a tough road to hoe. It was the first year that we scheduled 5 outstanding teams, and we qualified to be in a certain category within the coaching in the ranks. So we came to practice after losing 3 in a row, and Coach Nugent put us on a school bus and headed out toward the woods. And then we got to wondering what was going on. And it dawned, somebody said, he's going to take us out 50 miles and make us run back. Rumors flying. But we got out to an old Air Force base, and we went into a old, I guess what had been at one time a service area. And he had a band there, and he had cooks there, and we had a great get-win party. And from that point on, we won 4 of the last 5. So nice. It worked. So you never know what's going to work with a team at any given time. But if you ask any of the boys that were on the squad at that time, I think they would all remember the impact of that party.
Cool. That's awesome. That's cool stories. It's great to hear. Like I've been doing the show for like a year and a half on Priscilla on here on video, and I've been trying to find old school players because I'm 42 years old. And I want to hear about people back in the day when I was a kid growing up, like in the 80s and all that stuff. And it's also cool to hear about your father back in the 50s when Florida State was just Florida State. It wasn't like, what are they today? They were building the blocks of what Mike Norvell is doing today and all that stuff. And it's great that we get a chance to talk to you and everybody else. And it just makes me understand the college better, that I can say, all right, this is a cool school, and maybe my niece, maybe she gets the grades to go to Florida State. And I told my brother, she's smart. She should go to Florida State. And he goes, why not? Why? Yeah. Because I want her to.
That's a good enough reason.
Yeah.
Yes, always choose Florida State every time.
Yeah. Nobody else. No Miami, no Florida.
Nobody else. Not Miami, not Florida, not Clemson. Nobody else. Florida State.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the game tonight. Hopefully the weather here
Go
is not
Noles,
raining
right?
and yeah.
Go
and
Knowles. There we
and
go.
tell your dad thank you very much for taking this time today. Thank you so much for coming on, sir. I appreciate it. I know you have a busy relax and enjoy the game tonight. And
Nice to have a chance to talk to you. For the record, my older brother was on the first FSU football team. I've got their picture. And then I was on the first time we were a major college team.
nice.
So it's been a family tradition for a long time.
Nice, that's cool. Maybe did you get a chance to meet the new coach, or has he stopped by and say hello to you?
We haven't had a chance to meet him. I mean, Dad could no longer go to the games. We used to all go. We had front row, second row, 8 seats. My brother, my mom, my dad, my uncle, my aunt, my cousin, and myself. But as time has gone by, we've lost some of the members in our family, and Dad can't really get around that much. So I go when I'm able. But I come over almost every time and watch the game with him. I'll be with him tonight with my mom.
That's cool.
She's sick, so I sit and watch it with them.
Nice. Well, we'll be at the stadium covering it for us for our outlet. We'll think of you guys. Every time you guys score, and I'll say something to the SID about him, about your dad, and maybe he'll do something for him.
That'd be
maybe.
great.
Yeah,
He would love it.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. So, all right. Well, have a great rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for having us on.
Have a great morning. See ya.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye.
Knowles.
Bye.
Go Noles.
That was I enjoy that. I like doing this stuff here on the
So
show.
that,
I know we don't get a lot of viewers, but I think it's great that we do our own stick to talk to people who were part of the older days of Florida State football or Met baseball or Oriole baseball or NASCAR. We'll try to get some NASCAR people on maybe down the road. Maybe you probably know somebody probably.
Maybe we can get Babe Ruth on the show.
Yeah, we'll dig them up for you.
Babe, what kind of hot dog do you have back in 1925? The mustard and ketchup with onions.
I think it's time that we make our picks for some of the
Well, we're trying to wait for Wally Williams to join us, but I think on Saturday morning everybody's so busy doing other things. This is the reason why we don't do shows on Saturday mornings. But maybe we'll get. We'll see if he left me a message or anything. Maybe maybe he forgot to come on.
Guys, in 10 minutes, we have the kickoff to Championship Saturday.
Yeah, that's probably why everybody's not on right now, because we're all getting ready for a full day of college football.
Going to the grocery store to get their favorite snack and beverage.
Exactly. I think we should need to I need to walk across the street and get my beverage.
Your beverage of choice.
Yeah. But we want to say, let's do our picks here real quick before we go. Yeah, sure. She actually passed away last year, people. Yeah, right. Yeah. I love people trying to scam people. But anyway. No, it's funny when you go on Facebook and you know somebody who passed away last year, and then also she friends you as a friend.
Oh, that just happened to you?
Yeah, and just came out. I'm like, yeah, sure. Okay, next time. Because I know I went to the funeral. Okay. So anyway, we want to say thank you to before we go. Let's do our picks here for tonight's Florida State Louisville. We all picked Florida State to win.
Yeah.
Yep, Florida State wins. Well, I feel it's going to be a close fourth quarter game, but yes, Florida State wins.
Okay.
Yeah, Florida State wins.
And the folks out there in Indiana with the Michigan and Iowa game, Michigan basically having a coach back after a 3-game suspension for cheating. And now, speaking of cheating, Bobby Petrino's coming out the other day saying that Clemson cheats. So we're having some finger pointing. We're pointing at like, hey, I'm sorry, Bobby. Where were you? Okay, first of all, before we move on with Michigan here, Coach Petrino, you were what, 0-5 against Clemson?
Yes.
So how are they stealing signs when you can't even beat Clemson in your own field?
Chris, that's a darker question.
Yeah, it's like, come on, buddy. Yeah. Yeah. And then So in that Big Ten game, I'm hoping for Iowa to pull off the upset, just to tell Michigan to go home. Because they don't deserve to be in for all the stuff of cheating and and disgracing the game of college football. I think they need to be reprimanded for not going to the college football playoff.
I feel that Iowa has a tremendous defense. Tremendous. I mean, they are top 5 defense, I believe, in the country. So defense is not an issue. It's going to be – I don't think Michigan's going to score a lot of points. They may score 21. They don't need to really have any style points. They're undefeated. As long as they win, they're in as well. So Michigan may score 3 touchdowns, but Iowa needs to have – if Iowa can – honestly, if Iowa can just hold Michigan to 10 points or less, then Iowa really has a good chance to win that game. But the only question is, how many points will Michigan score offensively? That's the thing. If Michigan scores over 10, unfortunately, Iowa really has a terrible offense. And if Iowa could maybe just for one game pull someone off and say, hey, be our offensive coordinator for one game and show us what you got, then they'll have a better chance. I mean, the thing is they have a horrible offense, and they just need to have some type of offense during that game. I don't see how I was going to get the offense because Michigan has a good rush defense, and so they do have a really, really stout defense. Michigan, I believe, also has a top 5 defense as well. So yeah, I mean, it's really going to come down to how many points I was going to score, and it's going to come down to how many points Michigan can score, because Michigan, we all know, can score a lot of points, but Iowa's defense is top 5 in the country. So if Iowa can hold Michigan to 10 points or less, watch out. Michigan has a chance to get upset. If they score more than 10, unfortunately, I feel that Michigan will win the game. And then if they win, of course, we know they're going to be in the college football playoff along with Washington.
Yeah, I think this Big Ten championship game is a game that we know about what's going to happen regarding Michigan, and Iowa has not looked the best like all year. If you take a look at some of the point spreads regarding Nebraska when they played, and then against Rutgers, wasn't big. And I don't see this being a close game. I think with Michigan, after what we saw, what Michigan did against Ohio State last week, I just think Michigan's going to get in, and I don't think it's going to. It's not going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a blowout. Michigan wins the Big Ten, and that would be, to see the Big Ten commissioner go give Jim Harbaugh the trophy after what happened. That'd be funny.
Yeah. We're going to wrap it up here. Well, thanks for everybody for joining us this morning. I know you all are probably getting yourselves ready for college football. We don't want to be wasting your time. So we'll see you all this coming Monday at 7:30. We'll recap all the stuff from here, and plus we'll have other players as well and coaches to join us as well. So thanks for joining us here on from Charlotte. I'm Chris Heidel. That's Adam. That's Matt. We'll see you all on Monday.
Enjoy the game, guys. Thank you.
Look at what's happened to me. I can't believe